There is a protocol preserved in the circles of Kabbalistic study that involves burying something specific in the ground, and the masters taught that the earth is not just where things die, it is where things germinate, for now. Think of a seed of wheat, of apple, of anything that grows. You put it in the ground and it disappears. It seems to be lost. It seems to be over. But what is happening beneath the surface is the opposite of loss. It is transformation. It is the beginning of the most powerful growth that exists. Kabbalah teaches that money, and more broadly prosperity, obeys the same law. And there is a specific protocol rooted in this understanding that the masters pass down from generation to generation. Not as a magical ritual, as spiritual engineering based on a deep understanding of how Shefa moves between the worlds. What you are going to bury tonight, if you choose to follow this protocol, is not superstition. It is an act of deep Kavanah. It's you declaring, with a physical and concrete gesture, that you trust the germination process, that you understand that not all growth is immediately visible, that you have faith in what is beneath the surface. Stay until the end, because the complete protocol has layers, and each layer matters. If you haven't signed up yet, do it now. And tell me in the comments, do you have access to a garden, yard, pot of soil, or any space with living soil? Because that will determine how you adapt this protocol to your reality. Let me share a story that came to me as a family parable. Imagine a Jewish merchant in a city in Eastern Europe at a time when the community lived under severe restrictions. He had lost almost everything, not due to mismanagement, but because of circumstances beyond his control. And he found himself in a situation that many know, starting over from scratch, with little in hand and a heavy heart. An elder of the community, a man who had studied Kabbalah for decades and rarely spoke about money, called him one day and said, "You are trying to build from the top down, but prosperity grows from the bottom up, like a tree. The roots come first, and roots need soil." The elder then taught him a protocol, simple, concrete, rooted in the understanding of Malchut, the kingdom, as the plan where the spiritual manifests in matter. The merchant followed the protocol, and he recounts the parable that what grew afterward was not just material prosperity, it was a foundation, a stability that the children and grandchildren inherited. I do not tell you this as a promise, I tell you as a map. Today you will understand three things. First, what Kabbalah teaches about the earth, Adama, and its relationship with Adam, the human being, and with Adonai, one of the divine names, a connection that changes everything. Second, the spiritual logic of burial as an act of prosperity, why placing something in the ground is not loss, but sowing. Third, the complete protocol, what to bury, how to prepare, what intention to use, and what to expect in the following cycles. But first, the foundation. The earth is not just soil. In Kabbalah, it is much more than that. In Hebrew, the word for earth is Adama, Adama. The word for human being is Adam, Adam. The shared root, Aleph, Dalet, Mem, is not a coincidence in the tradition's view. It is an ontological statement. The human being and the earth share essence. The Zohar teaches that when the Creator formed Adam, he used Adama, dust of the earth, and breathed life into it. We are literally animated earth. Earth that thinks, that feels, that chooses. And Malchut, the 10th Sephirah, the kingdom, the plan of physical manifestation, is often described in Kabbalistic texts as Adama. The earth is where the spiritual finally becomes material. It is the last step of the ladder by which the Shefa descends from the Creator to the world we live in. This means that the earth has a unique capacity. It receives what comes from above and transforms it into concrete manifestation. It is the great receiver, the womb of the physical world. And when you bury something with intention, with kavanah, you are literally placing your seed in the womb of Malchut. You are saying, I trust this process. I trust that what I plant will germinate. But why bury specifically related to prosperity? There is a Kabbalistic principle called Yerida letzorech aliyah, descent for the purpose of ascent. The idea that sometimes the path upward necessarily passes through the low, that the seed needs to disappear into the earth before it can emerge as a tree. This principle appears throughout the tradition. It appears in the story of Joseph, who was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, thrown into prison, before emerging as the governor of Egypt. It appears in Exodus. The people descend into the depths of slavery before ascending to the revelation of Sinai. And it appears in the spiritual economy of prosperity. Sometimes the Shefa seems to be descending. Resources are leaving. The situation is worsening. Seeds are disappearing into the dark earth. But the descent, made with awareness and intention, is a necessary prelude to the ascent. The burial protocol is a way to consciously participate in this process, to declare, I understand the law. I trust the descent because I know it serves the ascent. Now, a concept that will tie all this together. Tzedakah, tzedakah. Most know tzedakah as charity, but the root of the word is tzedek, justice. Tzedakah is not optional generosity. It is distributive justice. It is recognizing that what you have is not entirely yours. It is a deposit that the Creator has placed in your hands to circulate. And here is the secret that the masters taught about the relationship between tzedakah and prosperity. Giving does not diminish what you have. In the Kabbalistic view, giving opens the channel. It's like the act of exhaling. You need to release the air to have space to inhale more. The burial protocol I will teach you incorporates tzedakah as a central element, not as decoration, but as a fundamental spiritual mechanic. Here is the complete protocol. What you will need. First, a silver coin or any coin that represents real value to you. Not empty symbolic value, but a coin that you genuinely consider valuable. Second, a living grain. It can be a grain of wheat, a sunflower seed, a bean, a corn kernel. Something that has the capacity to germinate. Something that carries potential life within it. Third, a small piece of paper where you will write your intention. Fourth, access to living soil. A garden, a backyard, a large pot with soil, any space where something can grow. If you live in an apartment without access to soil, I will give you an adaptation at the end. Fifth, the sunset as a marker of time. The protocol is more powerful when done at dusk. The transition between worlds, the moment of Ben Hashmashot, the space between the suns, which tradition recognizes as a moment of special potential. The ritual in 6 steps. Step 1. Inner preparation. Before touching the objects, sit in silence for 3 minutes. Not elaborate meditation, just intentional silence. In that silence, honestly identify. What is your current relationship with prosperity? Is there fear of loss? Difficulty trusting the process? A feeling that the Shefa is blocked? You don't need to resolve anything now. You just need to name it. Because what you are going to bury carries not only the physical object, it carries the intention you define in that moment of honesty. Step 2. Writing the intention. On a small piece of paper, it can be a regular piece of paper, write in Hebrew and Portuguese, shefa, abundance, bracha, beracha, blessing, tzmicha, growth. I plant trust in the process of growth. I plant the seed of prosperity that serves my purpose and the good of those who depend on me. Step 3. The separation of tzedakah. Before burying, set aside an amount for tzedakah. It doesn't have to be large. It needs to be real. Something you will genuinely give, not just promise. This step is non-negotiable in the spiritual logic of this protocol. You are asking the channel of Shefa to open, and the channel of Shefa opens through giving, not just receiving. Tzedakah is the key that unlocks the receiving side. Set aside the amount now. Make it physical and visible. You will distribute it over the next 3 days. Step 4. The burial. Go to the piece of land you choose. If possible, go barefoot. Tradition values the direct contact between the feet and the Adama, especially in moments of sacred intention. Dig a small hole. A depth of 2 fingers is enough. It doesn't need to be deep. It needs to be intentional. Place the paper with the written intention first. Then the living grain on top of the paper. Then the coin on top of the grain. The order matters. The intention goes at the base. It is the foundation. The living potential comes in the middle. It is the agent of transformation. The material value comes last. It is what you are committing to the process. Before covering with soil, say aloud, "Ineni, I am here. I plant this seed with the awareness that growth is not mine to control, it is mine to trust. May the Creator of all abundance bless what I plant today. May what goes down to the earth as seed rise as harvest in the right time." Then cover with soil, slowly, with your hands if possible, not with a tool. The contact of hands with the Adama at this moment is part of the protocol. Upon finishing, place both open hands on the earth for a few seconds, in silence. Step 5. The follow-up cycles. The protocol does not end with the burial, it has cycles. On the 7th day, return to the site, not to unearth, to observe. If you planted in a pot, see if anything has germinated. If you planted where a seed can grow, see if there is movement. Regardless of what you find, renew the intention aloud. I trust the process. The Shefa is in motion. On the 14th day, practice tzedakah again. A second distribution, the same value or greater. This keeps the channel open in the realm of giving. On the 21st day, return to the site for the last time in this cycle. Offer gratitude, not for specific results, but for the process itself. Baruch Hashem for the privilege of planting, for the privilege of trusting. The adaptation for apartments. If you do not have access to external land, there is a valid adaptation in the tradition. Buy a large pot, large enough for something to grow in it, and use soil purchased from a gardening store. Living soil with nutrients, not just sand. The spiritual logic remains the same. Malchut is not confined only to the backyard soil. It is in all living soil. The Creator did not limit access to sacred ground by the architecture of the apartment. After the protocol, plant something that can grow in that same pot. An herb, a small flower, any living plant. The visible growth above the soil becomes a physical reminder of the invisible spiritual process that is happening. Every time you water the plant, which is also watering what you buried, you silently renew the intention. Taking care of the plant is taking care of what you planted. A pattern that frequently appears among people who practice intentional sowing rituals, whether physical or symbolic, is this. The most immediate change is not financial. It is in the relationship with time. People who plant learn at the most visceral level that growth has its own rhythm. That forcing germination destroys the seed. That trust in the process is not passivity. It is the most active way to participate in growth. And this transformed relationship with time, with patience, with trust in the invisible process, is what changes financial decisions. It is what allows for investing instead of impulsively spending. It is what allows for building instead of merely surviving. The seed you bury tonight is real. What it plants in you is even more important. I need to be direct about expectations. This protocol is not a formula for money to appear in 21 days. There is no legitimate promise in this sense, and any teaching that makes this promise is not serving you with integrity. What this protocol does is create a deep alignment act between your conscious intention and the physical plan. It is you putting the body, the hands, the ground, the time, and the face in the same direction. Aligned people who act with intention and trust the process make different decisions, perceive different opportunities, and persist differently. The Shefa flows to open channels. This protocol is a way to declare, with physical, concrete, irreversible gestures, that you are opening your channel. Tell me in the comments. Are you going to do this protocol tonight? Do you have a backyard, garden, pot? What are you going to plant along with the coin and the grain? These concrete accounts, from real people applying real teachings, are what this community needs to continue growing with integrity. Sower of righteousness, bringer of salvation. Whoever sows justice makes salvation sprout. This phrase comes from liturgical text. It is one of the names of the Creator in tradition. The Creator is called Zorea, sower, the one who plants, the one who trusts in the process of germination, even when the seed is invisible beneath the earth. When you sow with intention tonight, you are acting in the image of the Creator. You are exercising the most divine capacities that exist, to trust that what is planted with love and awareness will grow. May your seed find fertile ground. May the Shefa you are invoking with this act of trust respond at the right time, in the right way, greater than you can imagine now. May what you bury tonight rise transformed, as prosperity, as foundation, as inheritance for those who come after you. Shalom uvracha. Peace and blessing upon you, upon your hands, and upon everything you plant. In the next video, I will reveal the teaching of Baal Shem Tov that I promised. Why joy, simcha, is the spiritual force that unlocks Shefa faster than any ritual, and the specific protocol he left to transform sadness into an opening for abundance, a teaching that will change how you understand the connection between your emotional state and your financial situation. Don't miss it. Share this video with someone who is in a phase of starting over. Sometimes the person starting from scratch is exactly the person who needs to understand the law of the seed the most. It could be the most transformative gift you give today. Until our next meeting.